Banana Slam Jam.
What's your MMR, bro?
My MMR is currently 3,200.
Okay.
Safe lane carry.
Cool, man. So if you had to give me like your best summary, like, why are you here today?
Well, I've been playing Dota for like many, many years, probably since about 2005, Warcraft 3 Dota.
Okay.
Really long time, but not a lot of games. So like over that period of time, I've been like on and off, probably played about 1,000 games of ranked in that time. So not that many games, but spread out over like a longer period of time.
Okay.
And with the COVID thing and everyone staying indoors, I thought I'd finally actually try to like get better. I play in a lot of games with a lot of stacks of people who are much higher MMR than me, and I just want to feel like I want to be able to contribute and just kind of actually try to get better as a player, and so I can play the game at a higher level, see how high I can go.
That sounds good.
I am the troll in this game.
Troll.
Yeah, just one sec. So just a bit of background. I'm an old man. I'm turning 30 in June.
Oh God.
So
I'm just kidding.
yeah, exactly. I'm pretty aware of how like poorly mechanically skilled I am at the game. Like I'm pretty bad at CSing, particularly under my tower. Really bad at using the shop. Bad at using the camera. Towards the end of the session, we can talk about like some ways to like get better at that. I'd be open to like learning about that.
Okay.
In general, particularly on Troll, since he got remade like a couple of years ago, I feel like pretty lost during the laning phase. Like I try to plan out how I feel like the lane's going to go and what I should be doing, but I don't actually feel like I do anything beyond like, oh, creep about to die, hit creep, and creep about to die, deny creep, hero close, hit hero. Like I don't really have like there's not much going on beyond that. So
Okay. Sounds good, sir. I will see what I see and comment accordingly.
sounds good.
Okay, so first and foremost, the most reliable way to secure range. Do you know what the way to secure range creeps on Troll is? I'm actually just gonna ask you.
Yeah, what I just did, right? Throw the W at it.
Try again. That is half of the equation.
Aggro the creeps and then throw the W when the range creep is low.
I'll just show you real quick. I could obviously describe it to you, but I'll just show you, so you'll see exactly what it looks like. No reason not to at this point. We have plenty of time.
Sure, your stream's a little bit behind, so I'm looking at the Discord video now.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
This is what a secured range creep should look like. I'll just do it on the melee creep, but imagine this on the range creep.
Yeah.
That's exactly what
I think I do that like unconsciously sometimes.
Okay.
Like I feel like in my head I go, I really need to secure that range creep, and then I'll do that, but I don't do it every time. So that's something of a note for
I'm just telling you, I just watched you miss a range creep by not doing it. So The point is, like, I'm not trying to like insult your intelligence or whatever, but like it seems so simple, but you need to think of every hero's limits to how they can secure range. You can watch other people play heroes, like it doesn't matter what hero it is, but every hero has some way. Not every hero. Most heroes have some way to secure the range in the best way possible. So it's like you just throwing axes, that's 75 damage. But if you're auto-attacking and then throwing your axes at the same time, that's 132 damage. That's like, way more reliable for getting that last hit. So very simple.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I did that also for other people watching. So, sometimes people, what if there's like a 1K person trying to learn from this session? Maybe they didn't even know you could do that. So I want you to do that every time. Dota's a lot about repetition, making sure you're doing the right things continuously, right? That's a lot about... Oh, so you did try to do it there. That's what a lot about MMR is just like how often you're doing the right thing. It doesn't always even boil down to whether or not you know to do the right thing. It's like whether or not you do the right thing 80% of the time, 90% of the time,
Absolutely. Like I could write you like a written test on like how to do all this shit and probably get most of it right. But then when I actually go to do it in games, I just like either don't do it because I forget or I flub it because I'm an old man with slow hands.
I believe you. Yeah, I believe it. So based on what you've been saying, I do believe you there. So far your laning stage mechanics have been reasonable. I don't see anything particularly bad.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I often feel lost with Troll in particular. Like I play other heroes, like I play Wraith King and shit like that. And when I do that, I feel like I have a clear idea that I should always be trying to aggro and then like hit the creeps as often as possible to kill them because I'm not strong at like trading in the lane. With Troll, I feel like should I be hitting this Monkey King? Like, should I be trying to trade with him? Like, I'm kind of just sitting back and passively CSing, and I don't know. Like, yeah,
I'll rewind.
It never occurs to me in my mind that I should be hitting him. I'm just trying to go for CS.
Okay. So he's playing pretty passively too. I'm gonna watch very closely because you are correct. You probably have not hit this guy enough. But at the same time, if you like overcommit, it could be really bad if you give him like Jingu stacks and everything.
Yeah, so I'm thinking like I want to keep these creeps around here, so when the wave arrives, it'll be close to my tower.
What you did here is completely reasonable.
Yeah.
In terms of the lane equilibrium and everything.
I don't really creep aggro a lot with Troll because I feel like I have the ranged form to fall back on if I need to hit the creep safely.
This is a good example where I don't mean to interrupt you because you're talking about creep aggro.
No, that's fine. That's fine, yeah.
So a lot of people that have like a basic understanding of creep aggro, they think of it as like, I'm going to drag the creeps to me so that I take less damage, so that the creeps are farther away from the opponent, that kind of thing, right? Do you have any idea what you could use creep aggro for right now? At this very moment?
I could use it to help myself secure the deny because the creeps will be hitting me instead of the melee creep that's about to die.
So how does that secure you the deny?
I become like it's only me and the Monkey King that are hitting the creep at that point, so I can.
So what would you do? You would A-click to drag the creeps away, and then what?
Oh, I wasn't even thinking of A-clicking to drag the creeps away.
No, not drag the creeps. I'm saying like to get them off of this melee creep, you A-click. And then what?
And then I would probably hit the melee creep, and if Monkey came in to hit it, I would E him.
So here's the way I look at it, okay? So this creep is approximately 2 hits from dying, right? Like 2 hits of a hero from dying? Is that correct?
Sure. So one of the things I don't know really how to do or like do regularly is check the creep HP and weigh it against like what I do. But yeah, I believe you.
You should definitely start thinking about the eyeballing, because most of the time you don't have time to check exactly what the creep's health is, but I can eyeball this and say 60 damage plus a Quelling Blade, which is approximately what Monkey King has, 78 damage. That creep has 145. Like, I can just eyeball it and say that's about 2 hits, right? Like, obviously there's armor included, and maybe it'll not be quite enough. You're probably 3 hits away, but I'm looking at it from his perspective because that's a creep he has to get, right? Like, that's the creep he's worried about getting.
Yeah.
So in terms of you're asking yourself why, like, BSJ, should I have been hitting this guy, right? Like, that's what you just said to me. My immediate reaction to that, like, I might have been a bit lazy fast forwarding through the laning stages because at the very beginning I saw what you were doing. It looked pretty reasonable, especially like the lane equilibrium and stuff. But if you're going to immediately tell me you don't know how to be aggressive, what that tells me is, or that you don't feel like you're being aggressive, is what that means to me is you don't know the instances where you're supposed to be.
Particularly on Troll, right?
Yeah,
like I've also played Monkey King.
This applies to every hero right here, by the way, what I'm about to tell you.
Yeah, but I also play like Monkey King safe lane, and like I understand if I'm up against like an Axe Earthshaker in lane on Monkey King, I'm hitting them like almost all the time because I understand that's very obviously what you're supposed to do in that lane, but I feel I'm kind of lost as to where Troll fits in.
Okay, so the thing about Troll that's like really nice is that when you're against these like right-clicking heroes, you can kind of say like, hey, I'm going to hit you a bunch. If you try to hit me back, then I E you, right? Like that's how I look at Troll. So it creates a lot of situations where you can kind of just hit the guy once or twice, and then if he decides to hit you back, then suddenly you push your E and you get a beneficial trade. And if that happens like 4 or 5 times, suddenly the guy's taking a shit ton of damage compared to what you've taken. So what you're telling me is you know how to play heroes that it's very clear that they always want to trade. On Troll, and many heroes like Troll, this applies to any hero that right-clicks a lot but doesn't right-click hard. Drow, Nature's Prophet offlane, Gyro even, most ranged heroes, to be honest. Because the ranged heroes, they don't click very hard, but they click a lot, right? So, what I'm saying is, this is a situation where you see this guy's creep, and what is he going to do?
He's going to go for the creep.
Okay. So, with that in mind, what should you do right now? You should hit him, right?
I should probably go ranged and hit him.
Yeah, you should go ranged and hit him, right? And you want to make sure you drag the creeps off of it, so that the reason why is when the creep's about 2 or 3 hits away from dying, you purposely take aggro away. Like, you don't have to take a ton of damage, but you're taking aggro away, and you start hitting the guy. And there's 2 options he's going to have. 1, he's going to try to go up and hit the creep, which in that case he's going to have to hit it twice. Or 2, in the meantime, you've hit him like 6 times. And maybe, I don't know how low ping you have, but if you have how low is your ping? I'm actually curious. When you play
my internet's like okay. I think I play on East at like 60.
Where do you live?
West is where I'm Vancouver. So on West, I'm at like 10.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good.
On West, you're a god. Okay, so what I'm saying is, like, what you can do is you can start hitting him, and if he tries to go for the creep, then you can literally hit him 3 times, and when he hits the creep once, then you deny the creep, and then you start hitting him again. You know what I mean? But
right.
Like, even in a simple scenario, you could literally just hit him 5 times while he's trying to kill that creep twice, right? Like, while he's trying to hit the creep. And if he does that for 5 more creeps, he's just gonna have no health, right? Like, he just can't afford to tank that amount of creeps. So a lot of people don't seem to look at the overall picture of, I don't necessarily have to get every last hit and deny. I have to make him, if he's gonna deny me a creep or I'm gonna give him a last hit, he has to pay a price that's not worth it to get it. Okay? Like, if I can create a situation where that's the result, that's what you should go for, right? This patch, like, yeah, denies are great and all, like, they're important, but if you can hit a guy 5 times as opposed to getting the deny, it's almost always better now. Like, denies aren't nearly as powerful as they were, like, 2 years ago, right? Like, 2 years ago, they were super, like, nothing mattered more than getting a deny. Right now, hit the guy 5 times, and don't worry about that deny. So if you're looking to find these opportunities on heroes like Troll, let me show you, actually. I actually want to show you a very similar hero. I'm going to pull up my own replay here, because I know...
Yeah.
Oh, wait, shit. It'll be quick. I just need to sign on my server real quick.
Yeah, go for it. So oftentimes I can figure that out based on knowing which creep's going to die next. Like,
yes,
if my
it's
creep's
all
about to die next,
paying attention to
punish.
your creeps and their creeps. It's all about thinking, like, for you, right? You do most of your actions based on whether or not a creep is alive, right? Or, like, if it's about to die, like, all of your movements and shit are dictated by that creep's timing of death, right? Like, that's because you're going for that last hit. So what you can do is you can start predicting when the opponent's going to go for that last hit, etc., and using that to be like, okay, he's going to be out of position, or I know exactly where he's going to be. And I want to show you real quick what I also want you to think about doing on heroes like Troll Warlord. Faceless Void's another example where he doesn't want to just hit you all the time, but, like, meaning he doesn't benefit from like a Monkey King does, but he is kind of like Troll in the sense that his damage is kind of low, and if he hits you enough, it really takes a toll on you, right?
Right.
So I'm going to show you real quick here. Let's see. Where's the example I was going to look for? I know that it comes at least later. Oh, here it is. So I'm level 2 and he's level 1. Anybody in your bracket, they would have sat here trying to deny this creep, okay? Like, that's what they would have done. I know he wants this creep right now. So not only can it be that you're trying... Yeah, the puck. It's a core puck. So not only am I, like, thinking, this guy wants this creep, and, like, what I'm effectively doing right now is making him choose between hitting me or the creep, so that's great for me. But I'm also level 2 and he's level 1, right? So this is a great time for me to just say, hey, you are not stronger than me. Like, this is something you should look to see at any time. Like, I'm going to show you what led up to this. So I get level 2. This creep right here is what makes me do this. I'm like, oh, okay, this creep's going to start getting hit by the range, and he's going to want to be about right here. That's where he's going to want to be. Right? Because that's where he's going to need to be to hit this creep. So I'm going to try to get him away from here. Like, that's what I'm thinking. You can't see my mouse, can you?
I'm watching the stream, so I can.
Okay, so he wants to be about right here. So I'd walk exactly where he wants to be. And I just hit him over and over. And my Pugna misses the deny, but he should have gotten the deny. And then I go back and get my creeps now. Like, see how that...
You're watching... While you're doing this, you're either mentally or like you're.
I am totally watching the creeps. Totally watching them. Yeah, absolutely.
You're just kind of right-clicked on him, watching the creeps, and then when you see the creeps low, you time walk back and you take the creep.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so it's all about, like, the point is every decision made by high-level players, like, they do it even better than I do. Like, if you watch the best mid laners, every decision they make is based off the health of their own creeps and their creeps, of the opponent creeps. Like, that's all it is, right? I stopped harassing him because one of his creeps was dying and I wanted to go get the last hit, right? Like, that's why I stopped. So there's like this distinct window that you can look for, and to be honest, you really don't have to be that mechanically gifted. It's very, like, I wouldn't even consider myself mechanically gifted, but I can pull this shit off. So it's something where if you start paying attention for it,
yeah, I'm just not paying attention to it at all.
Yeah, and so that's why I'm definitely 100% sure that you're, like, even though you're saying you're 30 and your mechanics aren't all that great, I'm 100% sure if you pay attention to it, you could absolutely make use of this. So the first example we found in your game was at 245.
Yeah.
When instead of hitting the Monkey King, you decided to.
I think I just backed off. Or...
Yeah, I think you either backed off or. Yeah, we'll see what you actually did. The point is, though,
something.
You said I should be in ranged form. That's like for you to decide in the future, right?
Yeah.
Where are you? Am I streaming? You're watching on my actual stream, is what you said?
I'm watching the stream now. I think your screen share is off.
Yeah, I think what happened was I logged out of Dota and then
it
was probably off. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so far, so good.
Okay. So. Yeah, you actually put yourself in front of him and let him hit you 4 times. So that's interesting. Like, that just shows like a little bit of a misplay there that gives him genius stacks and.
Yeah, I just went for the deny or the CS or whatever and just let him hit me.
Yep.
That's a good note. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. I probably would have considered a stick pretty early in this lane because you're dealing with this lion mana sucking you. Like, super annoying. Like, the minute he mana drained me level 2, I probably would have reacted by buying a stick. Just because you do need mana on troll. Most lanes you don't need a stick. You don't necessarily need one. But, you do need
Yeah, I think
mana,
I go for
a
clarity and a wraith. Yeah,
I would have definitely just bought the stick.
The stick makes sense, yeah. I've kind of been autopiloting on items. I've been watching like all of your coaching videos, and one of them I saw was like to not focus too much on item builds and just try and focus on mechanics.
Yeah,
or not mechanics, like map movements and shit. So while I'm trying to learn the map movements, I've kind of just been auto buying items from pro games, but the stick obviously makes a ton of sense.
I think the stick is an item that even if you're not focused on items, and I think that's great that you like. I agree with your mentality, but I also think small items like stick in the laning stage is a great way to start practicing thinking about items without like overwhelming yourself about items. Just like I would see whether or not you're buying Wraithband or boots first is a worthwhile consideration. Whether or not you buy a stick at all in the lane is a worthwhile consideration. And like Orb of Venom's a worthwhile consideration. Like not on troll specifically, just like in general. And making sure those items like go through your mind as potential buys is like a great start to thinking about it. Okay.
That makes sense. Like looking at this now, like it seems obvious that I should have bought a stick, right? It's just in the moment, right?
Absolutely. Dota's all about habit forming, so if every game you're considering buying a stick, when the opportunity comes that you feel like you need one, you'll buy it because it immediately comes to your head. You'll start seeing like patterns of situations where you need stick, maybe against specific supports, maybe with specific lane matchups that you're against. You'll start noticing patterns, so you'll be more likely to buy it and all that kind of stuff.
Like I've been playing for long enough to know that like if I'm against Bristleback or Skywrath Mage, I buy a stick, right? Like I know that. But I hadn't thought Lion's Mana Drain that would have been a good... Like, it just didn't pop into my mind the same way, but now it will, so it makes sense.
This is a great time to draw a creep aggro from these guys. There's just no
reason... Pull it under the tower?
Yeah, there's just no reason to CS right here, where if it's right here, they can be outside of tower range denying, and if you drag the creeps to... If you drag the creeps to your range, they would have to be within tower range to start trying to deny. And then what that's going to do is if they still try to deny you, that might actually set you up in terms of... What that might actually set you up to do?
If I had the mana, like a W, as they start taking like tower hits, they might W them, or I could start hitting them the same way we just talked about when a creep's about to die. You're going to go for the hit.
So my question for you is, do you know how tower aggro works?
Again, I know that there's a window in which tower aggro changes after a creep dies, and then it stays on that thing until the aggro, it's either de-aggroed or after a certain period of time, or if it's a creep that it's hitting, it's until like that creep dies. There's like a window. I know that there's a window of time, but I couldn't tell you how to do it in a game. Like,
okay.
I have no clue.
So there's an exact science to it. So towers work the same way as creeps around the map, where they have a global 3-second cooldown. Okay, I've talked about this in a lot of sessions, but any time, like, not everyone's watched the sessions or whatever. They have a global 3-second cooldown. So towers have 700 range. So we're gonna play the game in real slow mo because I can't do it too. You should have the setting on where Alt shows tower range. If you don't have that on, you should have it on.
I believe I do.
Just to make sure for everyone watching, it's right.
Yeah, I have that. Yeah.
Okay. So every time I'm CSing under tower within reason, like, I'd say, watch how many times I do it when you're watching my stream. Watch how many times professional players are doing it when you're watching their streams. Like, people use this command a lot. Like, they actually do this a lot to see exactly where the tower range is. Like, when they're, it also tells you what the tower is attacking. Like, that's nice, before the tower attack actually lands, which is nice to have as well, as a nice tool for CSing under tower. So, tower aggro. This is 700 range right here, okay?
Right.
Towers only aggro you if you're within 500 range. So it's like right here. Okay? So what that means is that if you're the only unit within tower range of 500, I mean, the next target to get aggroed will be you. Doesn't matter what's attacking the tower, doesn't matter. If there's only one unit within 500 range of the tower, it's going to attack. Also what that means is, if I A-click an enemy hero while within 500 range of the tower, it's going to start attacking me. Okay? But what happens is, I told you, there's a global cooldown on tower aggro. So what that means is, if you A-click an enemy hero, that global cooldown is 3 seconds. So for the next 3 seconds, if you were not in range of the tower when it aggroed, it will not aggro you for 3 seconds. Okay? So what that means,
if you're outside of the 500 ring and you A-click someone, then for 3 seconds you can A-click him for free.
Yes. So what that means is, this Monkey King could theoretically A-click you right now, and then have 3 seconds to walk at you, hit you twice, back out of tower range to like right here, or not, like back out of aggro range to like right here, next to the catapult, and then come back and hit you again.
Right.
Okay? So having creeps or yourself within that 200 range of where the tower's in range, but it's still not aggro range, you know, that 500 to 700 range, that's not good. You don't want to be there. Because, if avoidable, because at that point, if you try to CS the creep, the guy can actually just hit you, can't he? Because he's outside of 500 range. So you want him to have to be within 500 range of the tower to hit you. So what that means, if there's a creep that's within 500 range of your tower, and you hit the guy, like hit the guy instead of the creep, what's he going to do?
Probably run.
Yeah, what if he fights back? Like, what if he tries to hit you?
Then the tower hits him.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, that's the idea, where you're then creating a situation where the guy can't hit you anymore. Because, and if he's within 500 range of the tower, trying to go for the deny, fuck that creep, hit him 4 times. Like, you know, what is this guy doing within my tower range? I guarantee people in your bracket may do that, and then they'll try to hit you back, because they're like, why is this guy hitting me? And then they'll tank towers, and they're just going to fucking die. Like, it's actually going to be, like, they'll be so confused. Like, they actually, I assure you, I played a 5K game yesterday, where when I was practicing my Nature's Prophet, like, people don't understand this shit. They don't understand the little intricacies of, like, tower aggro and all that kind of stuff. So you can really make use of it to your advantage. So when these creeps are within this 500 to 700 range, make sure you remove them from it. And you can also practice this in a private lobby, where you just spawn the axe and you A-click the axe outside of 500 when your creeps are in range, so the tower doesn't hit you. You A-click him, and then you hit him twice, you back out to the 500 range again, and then A-click him again. You know, you can practice that. It's a really nice thing to have in your arsenal of like mechanical techniques in laning stage. So all of this stuff is just habit, though, right? It's really not that hard. As once you get it down, it's not hard. Like, originally, you're gonna be like, holy shit, this is so, like, finesse and all that kind of shit, and then you're gonna
a lot to think about.
But yeah, exactly. A lot to think about.
And
but the minute you get it down, I assure you, it is quite easy. Okay. And it's one thing at a time. I'm sure if you watch my sessions, you probably hear me say this all the time. It is one thing at a time. There's just no reason to overwhelm yourself. All of these things individually are pretty overwhelming. Okay, so you're gonna start jungling. It is 7 minutes. I think this is all reasonable. Okay.
So my thinking here is that these heroes, while they don't necessarily do a lot of damage, they could threaten my tower, and so I'm kind of trying to, other than this skirmish here, I'm kind of trying to just shove the wave in jungle as much as I can.
That is the right mentality here. I would say it's, like, most of the time on troll, that ends up being the scenario where it just benefits you to shove the lane in and start jungling, and if you're really that far ahead, you can actually pressure the tower. But in this, like, it's mainly if they have absolutely no kill threat on you, but obviously they do, so yeah. Didn't even.
I think right here I die right here. Yeah.
I didn't even realize I was an X-Sword Invoker. That does change things. I think at this point you're dealing with two heroes that are super low tower pressure. Like, these two heroes create virtually no tower pressure. You should also be very confident that if you're underneath your tower, you would live, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think this is just a learning lesson. I think it's completely reasonable that you came back into your lane. But just strongly consider, just go Ancients, because these two heroes don't kill your tower. Like, if you let a Beastmaster into your tower range with a full creep wave and you haven't gotten back yet, you're probably losing your tower. Or, like, 800 damage on it, right? If the creeps...
Right, but...
against these two heroes, if they start hitting your tower a second before you get there, is that really that big of a deal?
No, and it's better than if I step out of my tower to shove the wave and they go on me, which is what happened.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. So that's something where you can start thinking, when do I have to be back in lane based on the heroes you're playing against? So in certain matchups, I would say it's never correct for you to go hit Ancients here because you just don't have the time. But in this matchup, I think you completely have the time, and if you've cleared the other two camps, you should definitely feel confident to go to the Ancients and even learn. Like, sometimes if you think, oh, I can go to the Ancients, what should your camera be watching when you're farming the Ancients?
The lane and the tower.
The lane, right? The lane equilibrium, kind of guesstimating to yourself how long you have in order to get back to the lane.
Yeah.
Maybe what heroes are missing to think about, like, you know, if those heroes were to rotate, I'd be scared kind of thing. So you're going to walk out of base.
Nope, I'm bad.
No, you walk out of base.
No, I do walk out. I walk top. Because I'm thinking I died, so that is the dead lane, and I must go to the other lane, to their dead lane. So
I would have been really unhappy if you TP'd bottom. I actually would have been fine if you TP'd top as well, because the triangle is always a place you're content to be.
Yeah, I TP'd bottom here because I saw their heroes go top.
Your TP bottom was completely fine. I think if you're gonna walk top, that gives you the option to TP bottom if they all leave. So you're thinking you're thinking there was good. No, I definitely get out. Okay, so you actually TP top for the bounty. Interesting. These rotations are actually pretty good.
I mean, before this game was like a day before our session, and before the session, I watched like 15 hours of game loop content, so my rotations probably got a little better.
Game-sleep.com, or maybe there's no dash anymore. I don't know. Okay. Here we go. So, yeah, your rotations are definitely above the 3K level.
Well, this game anyway.
Well, yeah, so far from what I'm watching, yes.
Yeah. I show up to this. I don't know if I should or not.
I definitely don't think that TP was good. I don't think you should ever TP like this. I guess that TP usually means what you did prior was awkward. That's what
you mean the TP to my tier 1 after I showed up?
Like, you were already top, and then you TP to your own tier 1 top. That's usually, like, whatever you did before that was a bit awkward. We can rewind a bit here. So let's talk about this. You don't even have a Battle Fury yet. Like, you're in chill farm mode right now. Your team looks like they're trying to fight around top. Let's ask. Do you think this was good that you showed up to this fight against these heroes?
Looking back on it now, I think I didn't mind showing up to it. I'm not sure if I actually did anything, though.
So my question is, if you're not going to show up to the fight, what is your other option?
To shove the lane.
What lane would you think would be worthwhile shoving?
I would probably, if I could go back on it now, I probably would have run from the jungle camps to the top lane.
Why top?
Shoved it with E. Because I would just run top, shove it with E, and then probably TP away from the fight.
But why
so
top?
Bottom or mid. Why top?
Yeah.
Just because it was closest.
Does top force the opponent to do anything?
No. That's a good point, yeah.
Aren't they already right there?
They're already right there.
So what lane is better?
Bottom, because it's farthest away from them.
Technically, yes, but you don't have a TP, so this is within your limitations. What lane is technically better now that we've come to process of elimination?
Mid.
Mid.
Then.
Because right now, if you push in mid lane to their tier 2, what are they going to do immediately after whatever's happening in the jungle happens?
Run it mid / me.
And then as they run at you, where can you run to?
Bottom.
Okay, and then once you go to bottom, you clear 1 or 2 waves, and then you do what?
Probably TP top.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very natural farming rotation if you push in mid right now. Do you see why that leads that way?
And the decision to fight, I guess, now that I think about it, isn't as good because I don't really have any items. I just
you built to farm. So if you're gonna build to farm, the way I look at this type of builds, like if I'm a Jug or even like a PL that went Yasha or something, I'm always going to immediately think, what lane could I push? And after I push that lane, if there is a lane to push, I will consider showing up.
It's kind of like the Wraith King without Radiance, right? Like,
yeah, you could show up to this fight, but you should not default to a fight before you clear the lanes that are good to clear.
Yeah, okay.
The point is, after this fight occurs, are you worried about the opponent grouping up top and taking your tier 1?
No.
That is the only reason you would ever clear top wave over mid. Because in that case, you're not trying to force. So you're not trying to force a reaction. You're trying to prevent them from gaining anything from the fight.
Right. So if I was worried that we're so outmatched that they would crush us top and then take our tier 1, I would shove top. But
yes. So there's two mentalities. One, when the fight ends, you're going to try to make them respond to whatever you're doing. Or 2, you're going to try to prevent them from capitalizing on winning the fight. That's like the 2 ways you can think of. These are the lanes I want to clear.
So when I'm mode farm like this, I should be focused on making them react to things that I'm doing on the map rather than trying to help my team. And that will naturally
make these fights that you show up to, if you do choose to show up to them, way better. Why? Because somebody already responded to what you did, and then you're fighting 5v4 at that point.
Right. I kind of have that concept in my head, like shoving top, wait for them to TP top, then like go to a fight somewhere else and fight 5v4. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. But, so this is the big deal here. That it's just this deciding on whether or not is it the lane I'm trying to prevent them from doing something, or is it the lane that I'm trying to make them react? And thinking to yourself right now, top doesn't make them react. They're also not going to take my tier 1, go mid, right? That's how I come to that conclusion, and it's a really quick decision tree, right? Like just step down the tree of like branches of, am I scared of them taking anything from this fight? No. Okay. Top's fine. Am I scared? Can I make them react? What if mid was like already at their tier 2?
Then they wouldn't. They're already going to react to it.
Yeah.
So I can either do top or like hit the triangle for a bit.
Or you could even jungle the big camp near where your team is, right? Where you're closer to the fight, and you're under the assumption eventually one of them is going to respond. And if they don't respond, what does that mean? Like if they don't respond,
I need to get the fuck out of there because they're probably coming for me.
Okay, and also the opponent's just being inefficient, so you're content with absolutely nothing happening, right?
Right, because I don't have a Battle Fury yet.
Yeah, so the point is, right, if they're not responding, that makes it really obvious what they're doing, and they're being inefficient. And if they're responding, then you're winning the fight. So that's like you're giving them 2 bad choices. You see what I'm saying? And that's right. In your bracket, it is super easy to do that. Like, so yesterday I was trying to practice Nature's Prophet with Collie, and I was playing in the 4K bracket or whatever. In the first game, I tried to build team items, and I tried to like enable my Slurk to carry me, and I realized very quickly that was not the way I'm supposed to win in 4K. Even if you're playing with friends, whatever. I realized I'm like, all I have to do is get an efficiency item, get a survivability item, and then get a kill item. And just make them continuously respond to whatever I'm doing, because everyone in this bracket is super fucking slow when it comes to reacting to around the map. So, like, honestly, like, the next 2 games, I just went, like, 15-0 and 30 on Nature's Prophet or whatever between the 2 games. And it's just like, I'm telling you, I can do that on a hero I've never played before. If you start thinking about these things, even though you're only a 3K player, you could easily be way faster than everyone in your bracket, like with your decision making, because everyone's very slow, very inefficient. Like they're just gonna. I'll keep talking about stages of the game with you. Like at this point in the game, when you're kind of ramping up that farm speed, this is the way you want to think about it. And I'll talk about it as we move on later and later into the game. How to shift that mindset.
Yeah. Well, that makes a lot of sense because, like, I understand like the words of like the dead lane concept, but I don't actually think decision making. Like, why do I go to this lane? Why do I shove this? I usually just go to the other team's safe lane.
Yeah, that's usually what people in your bracket tend to do. And the difference is, it sounds like you're just not aware rather than not trying to think about it. So
yeah,
it sounds like you're very willing to think about it, and that's the easiest people for me to coach personally.
Yeah. No, that just makes a lot of sense, man.
Okay, so definitely needed a TP. Looks like you flew yourself TP with the battlefield. Good. Okay, so we're playing around the top half of the map. All good here. Only reason we leave is if we have to. Looks like you understand this, though, so no reason to rehash it to you. This is... okay, fine. A little bit hesitant there, but overall the right decision.
I was probably trying to buy something.
I wouldn't.
I'm that bad at using the shop.
Okay. Do you have an open shop hotkey?
Yeah, it's B.
Okay, do you use it?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I care about. Do you have a purchase quick buy hotkey?
I do not have a purchase quick buy hotkey. I usually just right click on the item, but I do have the ding sound.
You should just get in the habit of this. Not even there's even pro players that don't do it, but honestly, if you're taking the time to like learn shit, you should just play. You should play 2 to 3 games. It doesn't take long. 2 to 3 games where you refuse to buy an item without using your purchase quick buy hotkey.
Quick buy. Yeah. Okay.
And then you should also have a purchase sticky hotkey for TPs, and you should just never buy a TP or an item without using these. And if you do it for like, honestly, anywhere, but like if you do it for the first 3 games where it really is your sole focus, then as long as you make sure you do it for the next 7, it's not going to completely like ruin your mindset because you'll be a little bit used to it at that point. And then it'll be like ingrained in your mind to buy items that way. The only exception to using that is when you want to buy, like, say Sanj and Yasha, and you want to buy the Belt of Strength first rather than the Band of Elven skin. It's obviously going to buy the one that's first in the shop, so that's like an exception to when you should do that. But I would say 90% of the time when you're using that, you can do it. I just think if you make it,
don't buy things on credit.
If you do it so it's like mechanically the same every time and it's mechanically hotkey efficient, it'll be better for you in the long run. For like saying I'm not gonna have to worry about shopping, you'll just do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so all these rotations very natural, very good. Your team was fighting mid, you showed up, great. A little bit crazy here. I guess get tier 3 and back. Okay, cool. You guys did that. Fine. I would have probably wanted Roche over the tier 3.
Yeah, I actually called to get back here. This is a 5-stack game.
Okay.
And I actually called to get back, and they're like, no, just go hit it. And then that ends up costing... our overzealousness ends up costing us later. Spoiler alert.
But, yeah, I would have rather you guys just hit Roche. Tier 3s don't really do anything anymore.
Yeah.
What did you buy? Oh, okay.
Sanj and Yasha.
No, you brought yourself an item. It was Vampire Fangs, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Everything you're doing is very reasonable. Okay. So right now, I'm thinking purely about Roche. Nothing matters more than Roche.
I think that's where we're headed, if I'm not mistaken.
The problem is that your top lane's not pushed in, your mid lane's not pushed in. You don't have any of the proper information. That was just risky. Usually, if I'm going to want a Roche, I would have like 3 of my teammates push mid. I would cut the wave top, the 27-minute mark wave. So one of your teammates...
Sorry, could you say that again real quick?
I'm going to rewind to 27 minutes when you decided to Roche.
Yeah, because this is important, because I don't understand how to prep the map to take Roche.
So right now, I'm thinking somebody's TPing on my team to clear that wave top. Even if... Okay, so at this point in the game, what matters more? Pushing the waves or the farm from the waves?
Pushing the waves.
Okay, so we don't care if the waves are farmed or not. We care that they get pushed, right?
Yeah.
So is that technically that Legion Commander TP is mediocre at best. Like, it's okay because the rest of your team's here, but like if none of you were dead, none of you should go there. Actually, none of you should go to that tier 1 top. It's because that tier 1's going to push it for you, isn't it?
Right.
But what's going to happen is you do need to stop the momentum in that top wave. So instead of walking all the way back and surrendering the enemy jungle, what should you do?
Fort?
No, you should just go cut the next creep wave.
Just
Why go somewhere else to clear a wave when you could go top to clear a wave? Like, you could go in their jungle aggressively to clear a wave.
Right, so just walk to the wave that's coming, clear it.
And then that'll set. And then what happens is you're playing here. I'm showing you here. You're playing here. Your team's playing like right here, cutting the mid wave. You're all cutting 2 waves, but instead of being this far apart, you're this far apart.
Because of how the waves work.
Yeah, because of where you are on the map. Yeah. So that's how you prep Roche. You have 3 heroes clearing mid, like around the mid area. Like 1 or 2 of them can be jungling. One of the supports can be sitting behind the guy as he's clearing it. You cut the wave top, and then you go hit Roche, right? Like all of a sudden, all the lanes are shoved in, and you quickly take Roche. And this top wave, notice how nothing about this wave underneath the tower had anything to do with that, right? It doesn't actually benefit at all to have this wave cleared, right? It doesn't do anything. The tower is doing that for you, so no reason to go there at all. So you should have definitely cut the top wave. Somebody should have cut the mid wave and then done this. Would have been the exact same thing, just safer. Ended up working out, but those are the type of times where 10% of the games you just fucking throw the game right there. And you guys end up taking a fight off of this. So also what happens is... whoops, I jumped ahead. Did not mean to do that. So after you take Roche, what's something that should happen like 90% of the time when you're taking a good fight when you have Aegis? Especially when you don't have items yet. Like you're working on your BKB.
So we just took Roche and we're looking to fight?
So you just took Roche... Okay, give me a summary of what you're thinking right now. You just took Roche.
So my thoughts right now are we just took Roche. The Lion blinked in to try and stop us. We just blew Duel and Fiend's Grip to kill him. And my thinking is I want to shove the waves out.
Yes, that is exactly what
get information.
Okay, so why are you walking mid?
Because it's a 5-stack game and my team wanted to fight.
Well... I hope your team watches this replay with you, or they can come in. And I'm going to tell them they're fucking.
And you know what? I don't want to. I don't want to throw them under the bus either. That was my thought.
What's their MMR? What's their MMR?
It's higher than mine. But listen,
I don't care if it's higher than you. What's their MMR?
I didn't. It's like 4K.
Guys, you're still trash. All of you are trash.
No, I don't want to throw them under the bus. I didn't.
They shouldn't be fighting here. It's not your job to tell them not to fight here. You should say, guys, I almost have BKB. I'm clearing top. And if they have any problem with that, fuck themselves, okay? Like that's what they can do, okay? So like I don't mind the humility that you're having. I want to be very clear. The humility you're having is great. It's something that's rare in Dota. Fantastic. But because they're 4K and you're 3K, that doesn't mean jack shit in the grand scheme of them understanding Dota. Like they still suck, okay? Like that's just how it is. Yeah. So if I'm telling you right now, you're not throwing them under the bus. They could benefit just as much from watching this game with me as you are. And right now, you don't have BKB, the lanes suck, and you guys just blew 2 ultimates to kill a support. Why the fuck would you want to fight right now? Like, name one good reason, right? Like, one good reason to fight right now. I can't think of any, right?
I don't think I said that my BKB wasn't ready yet, so maybe I just communicate that, and that's like something I can take, but you're right. I guess we should.
All I'm saying is what you guys should do is immediately think of your timings, your ability cooldowns, and the lanes, and that should come up with a formula for whether or not it's best to fight at this very moment, right? And if people were to do that, they would look... If I'm at 28 minutes into the game, and I'm thinking if my team's fight ready, what hero am I looking at?
On my team or their team?
In general.
I'm looking for my BKB timing.
Not this game specific. If I am in a game at 28 minutes and I'm thinking if my team is ready to fight or not, what role of a hero am I looking at?
Probably the mid and the carry, right?
Yeah, mid and carry. Like mostly the carry, but yeah, mid and carry. Fine. I'm fine with that answer. So if I'm not up a peg, a 4K player, and I'm thinking, oh, we just took Roche, Do I want to fight? Whose items do I look at?
In this game, it would be Troll and maybe Clinks.
Yeah, great. So if I did that, I would check my Troll's items and be like, oh, he's half health with no BKB. Cool, we're not fighting right now. Like, it's an amazing concept to think at 28 minutes that the rest of the team could look at their carry's items and say, oh, we shouldn't fight right now. Yes, it could be your job to communicate it as well, but if they're on their high mighty 4K pedestal, they should also be doing it too. So
yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Just to be clear, like, I don't actually have a problem with anybody here, but like, it sounds like your friends are fine. I just I don't want you to be afraid to say they're wrong, because if they're wrong, they're wrong. They're 4K. They'll be wrong maybe 10% less.
It was wrong of us to take that fight.
But there's a lot of like very obvious reasons why that will always be the same thing consistently, and that's what I'm trying to emphasize.
This is the point where I feel like after this point, I don't know what exactly happened, but I feel like I just made a bunch of really bad decisions after this. Like I feel like I kind of almost like I get like so focused on the fact that I just died and that we're quote unquote losing now as a result that I'm not thinking clearly about like, should I be looking for another item timing? I have the BKB now, right? And I'm like posturing up in this top lane. I'm looking for people to go and fight. I see this Invoker, I run at him, right? But I'm not sure like how to close the game out from here. And I feel like that's part of the reason we ended up losing, because we end up kind of just not doing anything for the next like 5 minutes. And then like our Clinks or our LC end up just getting picked over and over again. And
does your team know where the Smoke of Deceit is?
Yes. So at that, I feel like maybe I gotta call a smoke because I have the BKB and just be like, guys, I have BKB, let's smoke or something. Like I'm not really sure.
That's it.
Like should I?
That Invoker dies.
Bad for me to. Is it bad for me to be playing on my side of the map at this point? Like that's kind of what I'm looking at as terms of my farming patterns.
Okay, so my question would be, what's like the number one? If you had to give me an idea, if you could give me a summary, I'm gonna try to word this question so you have a chance. If I could look at my mini map and see one indication of who's controlling what parts of the map, what would you say?
Often I think it's like the wards, right? Like whose vision is surviving.
Okay, wards matter for sure, but it's definitely not what I'm going for. That's like a reasonable answer. I thought you might say it, but is there anything else you can think of?
Like where the waves pushed into?
Yeah, absolutely, where the waves are. So right now, based on the waves, where feels safe and where feels dangerous to you?
Top feels safe and bottom feels dangerous.
Okay, so if you're asking me, should you be content farming in your base or like near your side of the map, like if mid lane is pushed into here where it is and you're now farming your side of the map, I think that's bad, because you guys control enough of the map to move into their jungle. Why would you farm your own side?
So I should be at mid, push that wave out, go through those camps kind of thing.
Your team should be sitting around like this big camp to the top rune area and within range of you pushing mid. And I will tell you that the team that is map control, that has map control, the mid wave will almost always indicate who's in map control. Because the team that controls the map, according to the dead lane theory, will have 2 of the lanes pushed in, right?
Right.
And one of those lanes will always, almost always, be the mid lane. So the team that is controlling the map is almost always pushing the mid lane. So when it comes to setting up these like mid to late game smokes, what do you think, if possible, should always be done first?
I guess the 2 of the 3 lanes of the map that we want to control, because we have map control, should be shoved in as far as possible.
Okay. So exactly. So my question is, some games when you're really far behind, for instance, that's not possible. Okay, like it's just not possible to get 2 lanes shoved in before you're going to smoke. So my question would be, let's like, this is how you have to think about Dota. Let's reverse it to the opponent's perspective, okay? So if you're trying to push in the wave mid, so say the opponent has map control and they're pushing in the wave mid, why are they doing that? Like, why does that benefit them to push the wave in?
Because it gives them control of our jungle.
But what do the creeps walking down the lane say?
Information. If we don't show up to defend it, it means we're doing something.
Yes.
If we do show up, it means when some people are alone somewhere.
They just provide information that none of your heroes are in that area, and that etc. So if the enemy team's the one pushing in mid, when should you smoke?
When we see the enemy team's the one pushing in mid.
Yeah.
We should smoke if we want to smoke gank them when we're behind, we would.
It has to be a window where they have the least amount of information possible about where you are, right?
It has to be before the wave gets to our tower.
Exactly. So you have to find an opportunity to quickly clear like mid wave as 4. Like say the mid wave's like right where you are approximately, like right where your tier 2 radiant would normally be. You clear that wave and you immediately smoke, because for the next the wave's gonna be pushed in to you, right? But it's gonna take what, 15 seconds to get there?
Yeah.
So you have 15 seconds. And that's why I get so fucking angry in my pubs when I'm like, guys, you're taking too long. Like, we're taking 10 seconds to smoke. Or you ask your team to smoke and your support doesn't have a smoke in them and they're like flying it out. Because like the smoke is really important when you're behind. Like the 15-second window is very short for that. So that's why I always emphasize that a lot. Because if suddenly 3 of you show on a creep wave and then the next creep wave right there 15 seconds later are just hitting each other, and you're not there anymore, to a decent player, it's like really fucking obvious you guys are doing something, right? Like it's really obvious. So when it comes to this stage in the game, it seems complicated, but it's really not. It's really not. If you're ahead, you clear 2 waves and you smoke to the part of the map that they control, and you always have a ward on you, and you place a ward on the high ground if you break smoke, or if you think you're gonna break smoke, you place a ward on the high ground. So like you guys could push mid and top. You could smoke from mid down into your jungle, maybe place a ward as you walk up the ramp from the river, and run into them there. Because you absolutely know none of them are top right now. So it's very obvious where they are. All you need is a ward so that you have some sort of vision. You don't want to walk into no vision without vision, and then you kill them. Like it's that simple. If you're behind, it's the opposite. You go to the part of the 2/3 of the map that you think they control, and it's not as obvious where they are because they control 2/3 of the map. But that's why you do some like reach around thing, or like some way to clean sweep that part of the map kind of thing. In your bracket, people are probably just going to feed. In my bracket, like at least half the time, people will see what's happening and they'll be like, oh, we need to back off. And even if you don't find a kill, you'll at least like take over that part of the map, and you can start like de-warding if you think there's a ward there. You can ward if you just want to take that part of the map for yourselves. But at this stage in the game, any movement you want to make as a team is going to be super fucking awkward if you don't smoke. So what it comes down to is understanding what I just laid out for you as like the setup for smoke. So the idea is you need to know to smoke when the game gets awkward, and then have this general idea of what it takes to set up a successful smoke, which is what I just laid out for you. Obviously, there's a lot of like different permutations of the game, right? So it's not as simple as I made it sound. But at the same time, it kind of is. Like meaning, make sure if you're ahead, you have 2 lanes shoved in. If you're behind, make sure you clear mid real quick and then go. Or like, go ahead.
It seems like my responsibility as a part of that part of the team as the carry player is to make sure that mid and top are always shoved in.
Your responsibility is to communicate to your team that you're ready to fight.
Yeah, and to shove, I guess, mid and top in.
Yeah, and it's your team's job as a whole to understand that mid and top need to be pushed in. So
okay. Fair enough.
For you, if you're with your teammates, like friends that you're playing with, if you want to push mid, your communication could be, I'm strong enough to fight, let's push mid and smoke. I need 2 heroes behind me to clear this wave. Like, meaning if you don't have the 2 heroes behind you, you're too scared to walk up, Right, or like, okay. I need Legion Commander behind me so that I can walk up to this creep wave. That kind of thing. That's the type of communication. It all boils down to whether or not you're ready to fight being part of your communication. And like you said, you understand what waves you're supposed to clear, so you understand who on your team helps you clear them. And all of this is educational guesses, right? I don't expect your 3K, like, boomer hands to keep up with this as fast as I'm telling you. But in your bracket, the window for error is much higher because, the other team's just as slow. So if you can just do it faster than the average 3K player, you're going to gain MMR. Like, that's the idea. And over time, these decisions will start getting faster and faster and faster. You'll start recognizing patterns, like I said earlier. And if you guys don't smoke right now, the game's just super fucking awkward. Eventually, the other team smokes, and they actually fight onto your high ground, interestingly enough. Okay. So where's the safest part of the map, right? It's the triangle. So if you're gonna wait for them to smoke, it's always best to wait on your triangle. Almost always. That's like 90%, like a large majority of the time. So you guys were clumped up on your triangle. If you're not gonna smoke, maybe that just worked out luckily for you guys. But if you're not gonna smoke, sitting as 4 on your triangle is definitely the best option. Because if you do anything else and the opponent smokes, you just all feed. So we should only be playing around Roche. Your teammates farming the jungle are fucking hurting my eyes. Your Legion Commander has no idea how to play the map. You can tell him that. Your team actually smokes to you. Okay, this is good. Okay. Then you die.
If you want to, like, real quick, when I fight with troll and team fights, I pretty much just pop BKB and press R when I'm near someone that I think can't get away from me. Is it more complicated than that?
Yeah, it's definitely more complicated than that. Let's watch the fight for you here.
Yeah, like, ever since he got reworked, I've had a really hard time using his ult in fights, like knowing when to use it and when not to.
Okay, how far did I go back? Holy shit. Okay. Is this the part that we were at? Yeah.
We're about to get to the fight in the top jungle, Dire. Yeah.
So this shit's absolute dog shit, just to be very clear what's going on right here. And when I'm in my games, my teammates are doing what your Legion Commander's doing, I'm like, we can't do anything because of this Legion Commander. What should be happening is, like, 3 of your heroes clear mid and 1 of your heroes clear top, and then you're Gucci to take a good fight. Having 1 hero in your own jungle like this is absolutely game ruining at this stage in the game. Absolutely game ruining. Okay. So your team smokes up. Mid lane's not pushed in because of what your Legion wanted to farm a medium camp. But now let's watch the fight. Okay, so you're watching it break out. I would not walk uphill into a Monkey King ult. I would have definitely gone up and around.
Yeah, so my thinking was that he's got the Bane ult on him, right? So I can just start building up the fervor stacks, and I have bashers, so I can hit him through it and kill him. But then I just kind of like run out of gas after that and get killed by Invoker. There's a couple more times this game where I go into the Wukongs to hit the monkey, and I think that's like, just don't do that is the lesson I took from this game.
Yeah,
because it fucks me over pretty bad later.
I don't think you really messed up here in terms of anything mechanical. It's the fact that you walked uphill into a Monkey King ult and fought it, rather than just backing off when he popped Monkey King ult. Like, none of you were actually locked into that Monkey King ult. You should have just said, oh, he Monkey King ulted and backed off. I don't think there's anything more complicated to this fight. Like, your ulti was used to kill the Monkey King, which was, like, reasonable, but then you obviously were forced to chase yourself into the opponent, and from there you're just dead, so nothing you can do about it.
Do you recommend mostly just, like, holding on to the ult to use it to stop yourself from dying, or...
No, if there's a guy that you need to kill on their team and you're, like, in the middle of it, you need to do it for damage for sure. Especially when they have immense amounts of burst damage like they have. Last thing you want to do is die before you ult.
Okay.
The idea here that's wrong is you guys had a Monkey King that's ulted and you could have just backed off and instead you fought into him. I've learned that lesson way too many times. Monkey King in ult, very powerful, very strong, very scary. Okay, so you guys do end up getting Roche. This is once again a rinse and repeat of the last one.
We just didn't prep it at all, and they came and fought us, and we actually lose this fight, I think.
Part. It's literally...
Oh, the Monkey King ults, and I run at him.
Just walk the fuck away from this guy. Like,
yeah.
This guy's insane!
No,
in a high-level game, you'd see 5 people disengage, and there'd be chat people saying, Monkey King ult lol. Like, that's what would be happening right now.
Yeah. But because we killed him last time, I have this thing where I'm like, oh, I can just kill him in it.
Do you know what he gets for being in his ult?
Yeah, I play Monkey King. I know he's got like 50 fucking armor, but for some reason I just thought if I hit him enough, he'll die.
Okay.
You know, I just learned from this. The big learning for that is like don't ult the monkey in the Wukongs. It's kind of like
not much else to say about this one for sure.
Yeah.
That's a nice little lesson for you to take away.
Yeah.
Okay.
When
go ahead.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's like I don't know. I feel like maybe I could have like bought a different item or something like that. Like,
no, your items are fine.
All right.
It's completely
never mind.
Completely play related right now. So
yeah.
Let's pull up a next replay. I've seen enough for that one. We went 40 minutes in.
How much time do we have left?
40 minutes, 50 minutes max.
Oh, okay. I actually thought it was only an hour.
If you only have an hour, that's fine. I usually go about
I can go more. I just want to put. I thought we would only have time for the one, but let me just. Oh, my Dota is going really slow. Hang on. Let's do. Here, let me see. I did watch the video that you put out a little while ago. Oh man, Dota's really going slow on Drow. Like the Drow replay, that guy who literally just started playing but is better mechanically than I am. But I will send you this replay from. So we get spanked pretty bad this game, and I feel like I fucked up my lane pretty bad, and B didn't do a very good job of playing Drow in the mid game, and like my farming patterns were such that I was able to be killed multiple times by the Nature's Prophet, and
so I'm gonna let you in on a little secret, because for whatever reason, I played Nature's Prophet 3 times yesterday, and for whatever reason, the other team picked Drow. Don't pick Drow to Nature's Prophet.
Yeah, he picked the Prophet after I picked.
Just making sure. Just making sure.
Yeah, I learned pretty quick that that's not a fun time.
I was first picking Prophet at every single game the opponent had a Drow, and I'm like, what are they doing? That shit was funny. Okay, moving on here. Let's go ahead and fast.
Real quick, starting items. I really just like a lot of regen on pretty much every hero I play. Like I watched a lot of pro replays, and they tend to only grab like just the 6 tangos or just 3 in a salve on Drow. But I favor more regen. Is that like?
I think you have way too much regen because you can fly yourself regen.
So I'm kind of just babying myself at this point.
Yeah, you are. You should definitely skip out on. You should max have 2 sets of regen, whether or not that's 2 sets of tangos or 1 tango, 1 salve.
Okay, but not 3 and like buy 2 slippers instead or something like that. Or a slipper and a circlet or something. Yeah.
I would say right now that salve should be a circlet or a slipper.
Yeah. I do go E first, just to try and save my Undying for at the rune. I don't normally go E first on Drow. I have a really hard time in general playing against Bristleback and understanding like when I'm supposed to hit him and when I'm not. And I feel like we're really threatened in this lane, so I'm trying to just like shove it.
Okay, so here's my question. As Drow, so Undying, would you consider Undying a good support for Drow? Why or why not?
In my head, I consider Undying a good support for Drow because he keeps other heroes the fuck away from me.
Okay. So if you're Drow, why would you not hit somebody? Like, what's the reason behind not hitting somebody?
They might run at me and kill me.
Okay, so with that in mind...
If Undying is doing that for me...
So, wait, so just real quick, with that in mind, what should be the times that you're hitting them be based off of?
When Undying is in front of them.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and play this out real quick, and you can tell me when you think you should have hit this Bristleback.
Now?
Yeah, right about now. Right, that sounds pretty good. Your Undying's right in front of your face. Hit this guy. So the beauty thing about being aggressive in Dota is, what is the main deterrent of being aggressive in Dota? What is the only reason you wouldn't be aggressive?
That you would be punished for that aggression.
Okay. So all you have to think is, what can the opponent's hero do to punish mine based on their strengths and weaknesses and my strengths and weaknesses? And whenever that isn't the case, you fucking hit the guy, right? Like it seems so simple. It seems so simple, but...
Do you value hitting people over denies? Like pretty clearly, right? Like in this situation, I would go for the deny to try and deny the creep.
My question is, if Bristleback gets to level 3 before you do, how does the lane feel?
I feel like even if he gets to level 3 after I do, it still feels fucking awful.
Okay, so I guess my question is, after level 3, what's the lane look like usually when you're against a Bristle?
I would say it's Bristle favored.
Almost every single lane, it's Bristle favored. Almost every single lane. So once it's Bristle favored, the amount of times you're going to hit him favorably is how much?
Like not very often.
It's not going to be very often. So when it's not bristle favored, what do you have to do?
Do you feel like it's not bristle favored right now?
Oh, he's level 1. No, it's not bristle favored at all.
So he needs 3 to get 2 points in the quills.
Yeah, and his passive, and he's even got goo. So since he's got goo, all you have to do is not overextend. But you should let's look at your stats. He's a melee hero.
Yep.
That hits for 48. You're a ranged hero that hits for 60. Who's stronger right now?
Me.
Right? So usually you should capitalize on strength by hitting the guy a bajillion times. That's how you capitalize on strength. So a lot of people think, I'm going to out-deny him because I've got more damage. I would say you just fucking hit the guy because you're stronger. And the goal is that by the time he's level 3, he's spent so much on regen while you've spent gold on Wraith Bands that who cares? If you have 3 less CS and he has 3 less CS, because you've been fucking with him so much, aren't you willing to make him, aren't you willing to use your little bit of gold for Wraith Bands, but at the same time he's forced to use the little bit of gold he's accrued to buy salves, right? And then at that stage you have 2 Wraith Bands and he's ferried out 2 salves, and it's who cares that he's level 3 now? You've got an extra 12 agi and attack speed, you know what I mean? Obviously I'm exaggerating in terms of exactly how many items you're going to get. But the idea is that people seem to think the only time you're content not hitting the guy is if you're bristleback, because he's weaker than you right now. That's when you shouldn't hit the guy. So when it comes down to laning matchups, it's who's stronger, at what levels, why, and a lot of this can just be experience. I can't spell out every laning matchup for you, but I can tell you Bristle Timber are huge power spikes on 3, huge power spikes on level 3. So it's
and Drow is much stronger than I think she is basically what I'm getting from this.
Well, the thing is, does Drow really get that much stronger from level 1 to 3?
So I think I'm still in the true shot or a Drow mentality where I kind of just want to hit 6 and get the fuck out of my lane. But
let's be honest here. There's at least 6 rungs on the ladder before you hit 6. Would you agree? A lot of people think the way you do, so I'm not I actually understand where you're coming from. You're looking at the end of your destination. Let's talk about some steps we got to take along the way. You can't just skip to the end, right?
Right.
It's kind of I'm not. It's kind of a solid meme in my channel, but there was one guy that was 0 MMR that came into a coaching session. And he said he liked to play Jug and go Deso Scotty and go high ground. And he said that was his plan on Jug.
No, I saw that, yeah 15
and I
minutes.
said, what about the other 20 bajillion things that happened between the start of the game and then? And he said, doesn't matter.
So it's the same kind of idea.
This is a very, obviously minor version of the same thing, where you're saying all you're thinking about is level 6. And that is simply just oversimplifying that situation.
The plan for me with Drow in most lanes is basically don't die, kill creeps, protect your tower, get 6, leave.
Yeah, this bristleback should get hit infinitely right now, and that should also deter you from leveling this because
the multi-shot, because you want frost arrows
because you realize how important it is that you hit this guy level 1.
Yeah.
So if you think about that going into the lane, it'll also affect what skills you level, what you're willing to do at the rune, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So cool. So you definitely should be hitting this guy a lot. We said it's your Undying is dead because of you. I'm just being honest with you. Look how low the bristle was and look how low your Undying was. What your Undying is doing is useless if you are not capitalizing on it, right?
Right.
So there are some lanes where your support's going to be drawing attention away from them. If you're the weaker hero in that case, what should you be doing while your support is drawing attention away?
Doing things that you normally wouldn't be allowed to do because you're weaker. So
usually creeps. Just hitting. Exactly. Great. But if you're the stronger hero, you need to help that guy be aggressive. Okay?
Yeah. So and this just all comes down to I don't think I'm the stronger hero here, and that's wrong.
Yes. And it's not because your hero's weak. You need to stop being consumed with how strong your hero is. You need to understand that Bristleback level 1's a fucking potato. That hero doesn't do anything. Level 1. You saw that he leveled Goo. So you do have to be a bit careful of him running at you. But that just really boils down to the fact that since you have this Dirge, you should be able to make use of him running in front of you.
Ooh, Dirge. Nice Dirge.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's a throwback.
Yeah, I always if it's a Dota 1 name and it has less syllables than the Dota 2 name, I use it. Okay. So I would say, like, at this point, to be blunt about, like, your lane versus Bristle, it's ruined. Like, you can still have an okay game, but you're not winning this lane now. You've already fucked up. Like, deciding who's going to win this lane is decided by level 3. It's not like this every game, right? But in this specific matchup, with heroes like Bristle, Timber, those type of things, it's decided by level 3. Like, if he gets to level 3 with no major issues, he's going to win the lane. So that's, like, at this page, we're kind of playing recovery mode, chill out. In the mode you're kind of already in right now, is the mode you should be in now. Okay, so you're hitting him. If you bought all this regen, you might as well trade with them a lot too. So he actually manages to die. You do have Undying, so Bristle does not quite dominate as hard as he would normally. Like, if your support wasn't Undying, it would be pretty rough. This is a way over exaggeration of what went wrong here. You should. So when Bristle's dead, this is a bait for sure. Like what you're doing over here. So Bristle's dead. Let's rewind. Bristle's dead. We're going to auto-attack the wave back. Okay. Okay. Definitely shouldn't be doing whatever this is. You should probably tell your support to pull for you. I don't know what he's doing. What is your guy doing?
I don't know. This is not a 5-stack game. Okay. This is just solo queue, so I don't know.
You should definitely tell your Undying to pull for you before he leaves.
I think he walks home.
Yeah, he just walks home. He should definitely pull this wave before.
And then I don't pull it myself. I just pull it back and hit it, which is like a bad habit that I'm trying to break. To actually pull by myself when I'm a safe laner. Yeah.
It will be briefly inefficient, and in the long run, it'll help you a lot. Like, meaning, like, 45 seconds from now, you'll appreciate having pulled this creep camp. But at this point, it was already too late. What you need to realize is, here's how being a 3k carry in pubs works, okay? Like, solo queue. You need to realize, I think you can tell that the lane being this far up against a Bristle with Goo is not good for you, right? It's not acceptable?
Really bad.
So you need to say to this Undying, hey man, I need you to pull the creep wave. And if he listens, good. If he doesn't listen, what do you need to go do right now?
Pull the creep wave?
You need to go pull the creep wave. Because by the time you're going to pull it at 445, what can this Lich do? Watch. Like, if this Lich is any good, what is he going to do by 445?
Come and stop me from pulling the creep.
Yeah, he's going to stop you. So it's going to be too late. That's the point, right? You're not going to be able to do it. It's either at 415 or never. And it's so important for you to pull.
Why is it 415 or never? Is it just like he's not going to stop me because
because he's not going to stop you. He's over there. He doesn't have the information that you're pulling yet. If you leave very briefly to go pull at 405 and there's like a lane for him to farm real quick,
because the Bristleback's dead. Yeah, he's just going to farm the wave.
Yeah, and by the time he realizes you pulled, it's already pulled.
It's too late. Yeah.
But in this case, you're just missing for like 20 seconds. Like, even in 3K, a support might be like, "Where's the carry?" and then like gander over to the pull camp, right?
No, that makes a lot of sense, man. Yeah.
But it really is important that your Undying does it, because technically, if the Lich is like really on fleek, he could probably stop you from pulling at 415. But the odds of him stopping you at 415 are like way lower than at 445. Even now.
Yeah, I honestly, dude, I don't even think I pulled this wave.
You didn't pull at all. You already said to me that you knew you should have. So
yeah,
it's all about understanding like where you want the lane to be, what's okay, etc., and then how do you fix it. Okay. So at this point, you're kind of just like trying to survive, like you said, to level 6. You're actually just going to... I don't think you need to leave. So you're coming back, okay. Everything your Undying's doing, he's doing for you. You're just going to get levels, okay. Yikes. Ooh, you TP top. Wow, that's ballsy. I guess it's okay. You have some tangos going.
There's no real, like, yeah, I've got tangos and I've got a clarity going, but really I'm just thinking I need to get as far away from Bristle as possible. Like, I was planning to kind of hit the jungle at 6 anyways, but my thinking was I want to jungle away from the lane that I feel is most threatening to me. And I feel like AM is not as threatening as Bristleback is right now, so I just want to play in the top triangle, and then if AM leaves to go jungle, I push his lane, try to pressure his tower or something, and then go back to the triangle. It's kind of like how I play Drow when I don't win my lane.
Okay, I think this is reasonable, like where you're going on the map. So my question is, what are you doing for the next 5-10 minutes?
Hitting the triangle, basically.
Okay. So
and then if AM leaves, taking the top wave, maybe that top camp, that top hard camp with like multi-shot from the side, and then back to the triangle.
Couldn't you potentially pressure top lane and force Bristleback to rotate there? Because does Anti-Mage want to have you show up and hit him? Like, does Anti-Mage benefit from that?
So I thought about that when I first made the TP, and my thinking was because I just TP'd, if Bristle TPs to follow me, then I'm kind of like fucked. And I want to wait until my TP's off cooldown before I go and do that, in case he like TPs to my lane.
Well, what you should do is you should be farming around this area, and the minute you see Bristleback bottom, you should walk in the lane. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, no, that is correct. Yeah.
Okay, so the reason why you're not pushing, just making sure you don't overreact, because like you don't want the Bristleback to be able to stop you from doing two things at once. What I mean is he's moving you from bottom lane, and you're too scared of him going to top lane to prevent you from going to top, right? If that's like a Slark or a Jug or something, I wouldn't go fuck with him. But it's an Anti-Mage. Like, he's not going to do anything to you if you just show up into his lane, right? Like, he's just going to leave too. So that at that point, you can force the Bristleback away from bottom, and then you can go bottom if you want. But so based on the fact that you're farming, I'm about to vomit. Why did you choose Ironwood Tree over Iron Talon?
Stats, you know?
But you're farming.
Do I send that Iron Talon back?
Immediately.
Yeah, I'm pretty fucking dumb is like the only explanation I really have for you.
Good talk. Yeah. You're also against Nature's Prophet. That Iron Talon's like 9 times better than this Ironwood Tree.
Wait till you see me try to eat the tree.
Oh yeah, I'm ready. I actually didn't realize, you could plant a tree and eat it.
No, not the Ironwood tree. I try to eat Prophet's trees. It doesn't go very well.
Oh, I see. You actually could have planted an Ironwood tree and tangoed it, now that I think about it.
Yes, I could have, but I...
Okay, Faded Brooch is definitely better than Ironwood tree. At least you stepped that one up. Okay.
Yeah. I'm a pretty big fan of Faded Brooch on most, like, any carry that spends mana.
Yeah. It's pretty much good on everybody, but they did nerf it a bit with the rework to boots.
Yeah. So my thinking now is kind of just like come and get me, Bristleback.
Yeah, you were definitely way too late to this push.
Yeah, and then the first of many Prophet deaths because I'm really behind. He was mid on the Prophet.
Yeah, I'm aware here. So you're probably just not aware of how strong Prophet is and just TPing behind you. At this point, it's the same thing. Yeah. Your ability to go to this lane is based on what now? It's 11 minutes in the game.
My ability to go to that lane is based on
what are you afraid of happening?
Prophet. And well, I mean, I didn't know this at the time, but Prophet TPing behind me.
Well, more so like what's gonna happen to you if something goes wrong?
I'll just die.
You have a lot of heroes running at you and killing you, right? So what decides your strength of being able to go to this lane or not?
Seeing the other heroes on the map.
Let's think about the exact situation you were in your laning stage. What decides whether or not you can run to this lane right now?
Who's stronger?
Who is in front of you, preventing that from happening?
Oh, if my boy Undying's up here.
How about your Spear Breaker?
Sure.
Would Kunkka suffice?
Yeah, in a pinch.
Sweet. So, based on our decision here, is Spear Breaker prepared to protect you?
Not at all.
No, he's a potato. Why the fuck is he sitting in lane with 40% health and no mana? Is your Kunkka prepared to protect you?
He's typing right now.
I don't care. Is Kunkka prepared to protect you?
No, he is not in position.
How long is he going to be until he's in position?
Depending on whether or not he even comes, forever.
Oh, like, either way, there's a pretty clear-cut condition for you being here. Has it been met?
No.
No. So you die. It's the same thing in the laning stage. Like, if you're going to show up to this lane, you have to imagine what could go wrong. I think even if they didn't have Prophet, they just had any hero that rotated, you would have just had heroes walk up to you, and because the 2 heroes that are supposed to tank for you, or even the 3 heroes that are supposed to tank for you, are not there to actually tank for you right now.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I don't really think about it all with the conditions.
Yeah, that's how Dota works. That's how we're going to start making your mind think about it. Like the conditions that are good for smoking, the conditions that are good for your hero. Like with Troll, you usually need a hero that sits behind you ready to counter initiate, right? Because you're hitting the tower. On Drow, you need heroes that sit in front of you, preventing you from getting hit. Every hero's different. It's just like, there was one guy in chat that I literally permabanned because his mentality was so fucking stupid. He said that from my first game, all the examples I was giving you were only to that game, and you'll learn nothing in the grand scheme. And what I say to people like that is, I'm telling you how to think about Drow. It's every single hero that you need to run through this thought process on. It's just going to be a different answer on every single hero, right? So start thinking, what conditions do I need to have to do specific things? And in this case, you kind of understand Drow, and I want you to start thinking of her at like the next level when it comes to these like map movements and stuff.
Yeah, like the question, what are my conditions for doing something? I don't think about them on more detail than like, am I strong? Am I not strong?
Yeah.
Like that. It's like, so the specifics, I guess, are the things that I can work on with like every hero.
Yeah, you said, so this should definitely be something where if you're going to work on these concepts, you play the same heroes like 5 games in a row each. So that you start getting because now that you're thinking about Drow this way, even though you're freaking platinum level Drow, it really is going to like throw you off to start thinking about Drow this way, right? It is going to make you have like a whole new perspective on your own map movements and stuff. So what that means is like you'll start recognizing patterns, and that's why when people say like, BSJ, how did you know to leave lane at that time? How did you know to do this and that? It's just pattern recognition and like experience of being in a game that's similar to the one I'm in now. And so like, on Game Leap, if you watch the content that you said you did, a lot of my videos that I did for like that coaching simulation course were stuff like when you're supposed to leave your safe lane, the dead lane concept, like starting items, all these types of things. Those are decisions that need to be made every single game. So when it comes down to leaving your lane, all you need to think is like, what's the condition for leaving my lane? Is it somebody rotating to my lane? Is it me getting a specific level? Is it the opponent getting a specific level? Like, what is it? And then at that point you leave. And then after that, you decide, where am I going to go? Is it to pressure somewhere? Is it to farm passively? Is it something that I have to leave immediately? Can I farm my way there? Like, sometimes you can show up to the triangle by virtue of just, like, farming your way through your own jungle and making it to the triangle. You don't have to TP. And that's a situation where you're much more likely... Why would you want to walk to the triangle while you're farming as opposed to TPing to the triangle? What would that indicate to you?
That I want to use my TP to join a fight somewhere, to defend a tower. Like, it just means I want to use my TP.
Okay. So at the 7 minute mark, you're correct. At the 7 minute mark, what's the most likely use of that TP?
Getting away from Bristleback, I would think.
Okay, so where would you be TPing to if you're walking to the triangle? Where would you be TPing to most likely?
Probably bottom.
Right.
Because it's the only lane that's far away from the triangle.
Usually, heroes that I hold on to TPs onto, if I can, are heroes that are more likely to return to their own safe lane if the situation warrants it to do so.
Right.
So, like, I left the lanes for a specific reason, but I know if that hero were to leave, I would love to go back there. Like, I would love to do that, right? So I'm saying is, like, holding on to that TP usually is because I'm a hero that wants to return to my safe lane. How often does Drow want to return to her safe lane?
Not very often.
No, so you'll be TPing away from bottom much more often on Drow than you would on like Slark or Jug, for instance, because those heroes are usually more likely to return to their own safe lane simply because they're more survivable, right?
Right.
So yeah, the point is like understanding why certain decisions make certain sense in certain cases and like why you would decide one thing or the other. You'll start noticing patterns. It doesn't matter if I'm Slark or Drow. I know that if I hold my TP, it's because I'm thinking more about potentially rotating back to my own safe lane. But on Slark, that applies a lot more than it does on Drow. So maybe I'll be willing to use my TP more willy-nilly on Drow for like farm efficiency than I would on Slark, for instance. So, but then on some Slark games, I never want to go back to my own safe lane because what if like the Void TP'd there and I never want to be there again? You know. It's also about, like, if I TP away from bottom, how certain am I that I'm content to stay wherever I am? Because it's like, if I'm Slark and I can't lane in my lane anymore, and the opponent's safe laner's a faceless void, do I exactly feel comfortable TPing top?
No, because you're TPing into the hero that you have the worst matchup against.
Yeah, so in that case, I would rather just walk somewhere to farm while then holding a TP for anywhere I'd rather be, because at the current moment, there's nowhere I want to be, right? So
yeah, you'd walk into your jungle, hit creeps, and defend your tower if you need to.
Exactly. So it's the same idea where TPing somewhere is only because you're positive that's where you want to be, and that's why I always bash the people who are TPing out of base. Because if you TP out of base and it's like a bad place to be, you're just stuck there for the next 80 seconds. So you're definitely learning the hard way about playing against Nature's Prophet. I would say this game's already pretty rough. Almost over to some extent, because you're against Anti-Mage and you're Drow and you haven't accrued like an early lead, which is pretty necessary as Anti-Mage or Drow against Anti-Mage. You can kill him like really easily before he gets Manta. But if you don't have that window to actually kill him, then once he gets Manta, he kind of destroys your hero.
Yeah, at this point, I think the game is... I don't know if there's much else that you're probably going to get from this game. It's more just me showing up to fights and dying.
For sure.
And then trying to farm and dying to profit. Like, it's pretty much this is... And then AM gets huge and kills us all.
So I definitely want you to watch, like, one or two... Well, to be honest, Drow's just a shit hero right now, at least from my understanding of Dota. I don't think he's good. You can...
I have 5 heroes that I play.
Okay,
and I literally... Drow, Troll, Jug, Wraith King, Monkey King.
Okay.
Monkey King, I pick if I see 2 melee heroes that aren't Slardar or Nyx in the enemy offlane. He's kind of just like... Wraith King is like the standard hero. I'm like 15-5 on him in the last 20.
Okay.
I just farm till I have Radiance, and then I show up and win.
For someone like yourself, I would highly recommend adding one hero per patch.
Right. Okay.
So what that means is...
It's been a lot of patches, though. Do I have to add like 20 heroes now? Because there's been like 20 patches?
No, what I'm saying is like...
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm saying from now on. So right now, I would argue the carry you could add would be Ricky. Or...
Okay. Why Ricky?
I just think he's a strong carry right now. He has a really consistent laning stage. Anytime you want to add a hero, you usually want it to be a super meta hero. So what that means is that there's a lot of samples of games you can go watch. There's like a very refined build on the hero that you can learn from. And
right.
And what it'll do is also because the hero's good, you'll have
success and feel good.
You'll have more success despite playing slightly worse because you're playing a new hero.
Right. So when learning heroes or just learning in general, I know we don't have too much time left on the stream, so I just wanted to ask, like, I'm always wondering how I should balance watching replays versus practicing like CS or CS under tower or mechanics, like using the shop or whatever, versus actually playing games. I've read somewhere, and I don't remember exactly, I think it was that Free Cookies guy on Reddit that mentioned that you learn a lot more from watching pro replays than just like watching your own. How much do you recommend watching like your own replays? Because I'm 3K, I'm not gonna see the things that you're seeing.
Replays.
So you watch just like Dota2ProTracker.com. Type in Ricky, find someone that plays him like 5 times.
Yeah,
watch them play him 5 times.
Yeah, watch like little nuances they do in lane. Watch like how they use their skills. Like, are they using them offensively, defensively to get CS? Like, what are they using them for? How do they secure range creeps? Like all the things that apply to every single hero I watch. Like, how do they make use of this hero's kit to do that?
The same kind of questions, like what makes them leave the lane? Where do they go?
It's like I try to emphasize, it's the same fucking questions on every single hero. It's just different answers. And if you go into studying replays with these questions, it's like makes it really easy to like watch with some intent to learn something. Like it's very clear what you're trying to learn, right? You're like, okay, I don't necessarily understand his power spikes in lane. Let's watch when they're aggressive or not. Ricky has 2 blink strikes. What are people using it for? What supports are they pairing it with? What people are they picking it against? Why? Like, oh, he picked it against this hero. Is this good? I think so. And then you watch the lane out, and if it goes well, you can see why it was good. If you think, oh, that's not good, like, I didn't think it was going to be good, and it's not good. Oh, okay. Like, you begin to, like, form this general picture of what makes a good Ricky game, right? And then you're like, oh.
So for those 5 heroes, I like went and looked up like Dota buff, like high MMR, like which hero has like the best win rate against like all of the offlaners. I have like a fucking spreadsheet. And my idea was that I would pick based on that and then see what happened and try to understand why. Like, for example, the spreadsheet said that Drow was best against Bristleback. And now I understand that the reason that is that level 1, you just fucking hit him.
Yeah.
But I didn't, without that context, I didn't really understand that. So if I were to watch Drow replays against Bristle, I would look for something like that.
Yeah,
or like
you
if
would
I'm watching
definitely
Ricky,
see exactly why it's good. Because like I couldn't for the longest time make anti-mage work, and I realized that the reason why I selected anti-mage because I didn't like hitting people and trading. And on anti-mage, if you don't like burn all their mana level 1, your hero just blows. Like so it's like any matchup where burning their mana either doesn't do anything or it's not possible. Anti-mage isn't a good hero. So like if you could think of a hero in the off lane that's almost all of its damage is not utilizing mana, what heroes would you think of?
Almost all of their damage is not utilizing mana.
Yeah.
I would say Legion Commander would be pretty high on that list. A lot of the damage comes from Moment of Courage.
Okay.
God, just thinking of offlaners real quick. I would say not using mana. Centaur.
Yeah, he's a hard counter to anti-mage. Absolutely.
Not using mana. I would say like maybe Beastmaster if he already has the boars out.
Okay, I'd say Axe as well.
Axe, yeah. Slardar, maybe.
Slardar's great. Slardar's another hard counter to anti-mage. Was that hard to come up with after I said what counters anti-mage and why? Like, it really isn't that hard, right?
But figuring out that part is
absolutely.
the tricky part, right?
But that's like that in coaching sessions, I can give you obviously quick shortcuts to this kind of stuff. But like the point is like, I personally had to watch replays of why anti-mages were successful and what they were doing differently than I was. And my first recognition was noticing that they were hitting the fuck out of the guy level 1. Like, that's what they were doing. And they had to do that. And any lane that did not fit the description was not a good lane for anti-mage. So, like...
I think this makes a lot of sense, right? Like, before I played Wraith King, I watched a lot of Wraith King replays, and Arteezy played him, like, 8 times, and I literally just copied what Arteezy was doing and, like, won the game that way. But when you type in Drow on, like, the pro replay tracker, it's like, Sylar played him once in the last 8 days, and, like,
it's really hard to... That's why I say, like, one hero a patch, because you'll have all types of information on the hero... and it's like, it's really like people said, like, should I learn this hero right now? And I'm like, well, if you haven't learned Drow already, you're not going to learn it now because there's just no information on Drow. Like, you're not going to get any because it's not a good hero right now. Ricky specifically, I'll just give you a quick summary. I think it should be your hero. He's a nice assassination hero. He plays off map, but in the first, like, 15 minutes, he has to play the lane. Like, he doesn't have a choice. He can't really hit jungle. So you don't want to pick him against heroes that can survivably play the lane despite him being there. I think he's literally a free win against any int offlaner. Puck, Leshrac, Pugna, Necro. It's not as good against Necro, but it's still pretty good against Necro. But
Veno, kind of. Maybe Prophet.
I would be okay against Necro, or I'd be okay with Veno. I'd be okay picking it against Veno, but I wouldn't be too excited about it. Prophet specifically is a bit different just because he has a ton of trees. I would be willing to pick it into Prophet if my support deals well with Prophet. But
like first things first, I gotta go watch like 20
you don't deal with his trees. So like if you have a support that deals with the trees, then Ricky's obviously great against Prophet. The point is, you want to think of Ricky as I blink on this guy and he can't do anything. Like, if you blink on a Puck and you have 63 base damage and 7 armor and he's got 50 damage and no armor, like, what's he going to do when you blink on him? He's going to orb and then you run away, right?
Play in the lane, hit your diffusal, and then you play off map.
Yeah, exactly. It's a pretty straightforward hero in that regard. But the point is, like, seeing that as, like, the exact formula and then trying to envision a game where that's applicable. But the point is, I would say... go into your games for like 10 or 15, 20 games in a row of I'm going to pick Ricky, just maybe pick it like 3rd or 4th so that it's not super hard countered. And eventually what happens is you'll play it for these like 15, 20 games. And then after that, you'll only pick Ricky when you'll add him to your list of heroes and you'll say, you told me your parameters for picking Monkey King. You'll have the same thing for Ricky. And then like the next patch, you'll have another hero on that list. And what I've realized is if I have a hero that I'm confident in, if I haven't played it in a year, if I play it like twice, I'm good to go, like on that hero again. So like even if Ricky becomes untouchable for 2 more years after this patch, 2 years from now, you'll understand exactly what makes him good, exactly why, and it'll take you like 1 or 2 games mechanically to catch up, and you'll be right back where you are. I've realized that once you put a hero in your arsenal, it's pretty impossible to lose them entirely. Like, you're going to always have a pretty good understanding of that hero. So, that's how I recommend people learning stuff when new patches come out. And if you're a player like yourself, I don't want your hero pool to have to feel like you have to just blow it up. But 1 hero a patch, like every major patch, seems pretty reasonable. And that's like not going to overwhelm you, because I want you to be able to grow as an overall Dota player. Meaning, like, I don't want you to have to focus on learning only new heroes. But if you're going to grow as an overall Dota player, you also do have to learn new heroes. So,
yeah, the mindset stuff was good in general. But I'm a rookie spammer now.
Sweet,
Thank
man.
you, BSJ.
Right on, dude. Don't overwhelm yourself with all this stuff. Like, go back through the session and like do one thing at a time, and it'll all come pretty with just a little bit of time for each one. So, thanks, man. It was a good coaching.
All right,
session.
thanks, dude.
Have a good one.
Yep. You too, man.
Just first pick your hero. I don't like that necessarily. If you're trying to learn the game, I'd rather you like second, third pick, fourth pick it, even if it's not the best game. But you just don't want to be in a fucking impossible game for the hero, especially if you're just learning. If you're Arteezy, sure, you can first pick your hero. If you're anyone else, probably not.